Hey guys, what's up? My name is Marissa, and today I'm going to share with you a interview that I did with someone who took my Ascend group journey. The point of this video is to give you a little bit of a taste on her experience in the program and how it left her with some big breakthroughs and a long-lasting impact. Okay, Kim, how would you describe Ascend in 3 words?
Empowering, insightful, groundbreaking.
And what did you enjoy most about the program?
Where do I begin? I loved it. It's all in the process. Like you're at one point and you walk up this big hill. It takes work and effort. But then when you get there, you're like, whoa, how was I there for so long when this beautiful view is here for me? This whole time, the massive benefit from it is you can literally use this same process with pretty much anything in your life that you want to change, and it makes sense and it works the exact same way for everything. There was a very clear and tangible step-by-step process. It was logical. There was a really nice balance between thinking about things deeply, but also about feeling things too. Also, the more that you do it, the more that you realize how in control you actually are. Like how much in power that you really are over making a difference. Massive shift from where I was when I started to where I am now. And you can do some pretty heavy lifting and reprogramming work on your own. And to me, that's like priceless.
What was it like to work with me?
When you said like, oh, this is our, it's going to be our last session next week, I was like, no, let's keep going. What else can we do? Because I truly, truly looked forward to every single session. It's clear that you know what you're talking about and you live and embody what you're talking about as well. You don't just teach things and then live a whole other life. Like you actually use your own tools in your own life, and that energy can be felt. It just feels really good to be learning from somebody who's in good energy, who's always in integrity and and does like walk the talk. We have the ability to be vulnerable, to discuss things that are a little bit more difficult. You hold space for all of us in that way. There's good humor involved as well, how you relay the information and how you teach it, but also the balance of the exercises involved and why we do those exercises. There is a clear, supportive, and logical reason for everything that we do, but there's also a really nice blend of spirituality. You're the perfect person to do this type of work. It's clearly part of your soul gifts. I just really enjoyed it.
What did the journey feel like for you?
It's kind of like I had all these puzzle pieces and I was able to connect them and put them together. I became very aware of what my soul was trying to overcome, issues and challenges and struggles that I'd been carrying the wound, like we do in our families. And so it helped me become that pretty massive cycle breaker. I was basically able to connect a lot of dots that I had no idea were factors at play for me. And so from that, I was able to have some pretty massive light bulb moments, and I was able to disconnect from a frequency or a vibration or a reality that I was living out that wasn't actually mine. I think sometimes we think that because some of these patterns and cycles and loops have been going on for so many years or for centuries or whatever, that it might feel a little bit impossible to be the cycle breaker, but it's the willingness and the intention and the process all together, and you can have some pretty massive breakthroughs pretty quickly. Kind of like once you identify a pattern or see something playing out, it's like once you see something, you can't go back. It's like once you've grown, you can't go back to where you were. You can't unsee what you've seen. So in that case, fortunately for this work, you can actually work through a lot on your own, and it is really possible to become aware and break or dissolve some massive patterns.
And how do you feel now?
very confidently say that I have had a massive shift. Family stuff, inner child, emotional challenges that I had, and a lot of that also tied to some financial pieces for me. The interesting thing is that you see how everything becomes connected, and then you see how, one thing is like a domino effect to everything else. I love myself enough that I'm doing all of this work for me because I really believe in my ability to make change and to be a cycle breaker, and to dissolve these patterns in my family or my lineage or whatever toxicness is flowing through, and you dedicate that time and you really put your all into it. This truly is soul work that will reward you like tenfold if your heart is in it. You really want to make that change.
Talk to me about your breakthroughs.
I had quite a few breakthroughs. One of my goals was to work on inner child healing. I was able to finally have the safe container and structured container to do that. Through that inner child work, I was able to link a lot of patterns and cycles and loops and karma that was connected to my lineage, to my mom, to my maternal side. And that brought through insight on issues that I was having. Without getting into too much detail, it was able to give me a massive perspective on just why things were the way that they were and how I got into the energy of following the similar path of the maternal side of my family. I was able to essentially see behavior and actions and opinions and the wounded expression of my family members on the maternal side. And because I was able to see and observe all of that, it then informed so much of what was happening in my life, where it was that energy of I see and I'm aware that I'm getting stuck in this energy or in this loop, but I have no idea why. And so for me, I was able to trace that. That was able to inform me on so much of where I was having pretty huge challenges. You learn how to observe and kind of work through or process what's going on rather than immediately internalize. That is massive if you can learn how to do that. Being able to have that shift in perspective is like everything.
In what ways did Ascend impact you?
Seeing our really true, visible, tangible change and understanding what it means to be in what frequency. And seeing that shift to me was that was just like astounding to me. And wow, I really progressed. Like I was very aware of that shift in energy, which I think is really important, because if you're so used to living and being in one type of frequency or energy, it's really hard to imagine what it's like to be in a different frequency. Me, I was able to clearly see that shift based on not only the process of your program, but the things that I wanted to work on they were pretty lofty goals. And I realized how much those things that I wanted to work on coincided with the qualities and the characteristics of the old self. To me, this process is kind of like walking up a really big hill. Once you kind of get closer to the top, you see where you were, and you're like, whoa, I was all the way down there, and whoa, the view was completely different down there. Those are the groundbreaking moments. And those are important. And I think people need to see that's the reality of this process. And wow, I really progressed.
Okay, Kim, talk to me about my sound journeys.
I loved all of them. Like I was a huge fan of every single one that I did. First of all, I loved the music and I love your voice leading us through it. I was very intrigued on what we were doing because I knew that it was going to be something interesting and expansive. The way that you create the sound journeys is really unique. I think that anything that you know is going to be subconscious work, but you don't know exactly what it is until later, and then you get to discover what it was, and then the information and the details behind that to inform you and your healing journey, I think is like really amazing. And so anytime where we did that type of exercise where you were doing that subconscious work, but you weren't fully aware of exactly what it meant, until later, I think is just really exciting. But the one that I think I loved the most was where we were tapping into our higher self, that energy of the future self in that quantum field type vibe. To me, that was really exciting. I got a lot of information that way. I was just really able to soak that in, and I still think about that. It was just very impactful. The sound journeys are very impactful. They leave you with an impression, and they leave you in an energy of feeling like you have more power than you think you do.
And what about when I do readings for you through the spiritual guidance questions?
The spiritual guidance questions are, well, first of all, very accurate. It was extremely helpful. It gave me really good things to think about. And it also just made me feel more secure in my process, whether I was asking about something related to the soul work and the challenges that I was working through, or I was asking something that was connected to my business or my work. I found that I got a ton of information. It was a real treat to me. When we have challenges or thoughts or ideas that are really close to us, sometimes it's very challenging to receive that information on your own. Sometimes we just need that third party to assist us in a way that we know is secure and safe, and coming from someone with good energy and good intentions. And so for me, it offered that ability to receive information that was not only validating, but also like offering some unique information and some unique resources. I just overall found it like such a sweet bonus.
Okay, now talk to me about the soul work in between each session.
I really enjoyed the soul work. I found that the soul work was challenging, but the way that it was challenging was also rewarding. Just like once you tapped into that subconscious, there was a flow that you tapped into, and being able to retrieve that information then felt rewarding because you identified information that was hidden. You could see and sense that it was all leading you somewhere. And I didn't realize the impact of that until I actually had a process to go there and get it. It's like you were doing the work, but you knew it was taking you somewhere really positive.
So now that you've completed the journey, who do you think would benefit from this program most?
So someone that is at their wit's end, they're frustrated with what's going on, and they're truly ready to have it over with. People who find themselves experiencing the same challenges or the same roadblocks over and over and over again. And you just get to the point where you're just sick of dealing with it, and you don't, like, you've trying everything and you're just not getting any answers, or things just aren't making sense, or nothing is ever becoming clear to you. And you need to dig in a little bit and do that deeper work and look under the hood. That's the kind of, I would say, is the profile.
Okay, and let's wrap up this interview with your thoughts on what it was like to go through this journey with a group.
I think it's really nice to do this process with other people. It's really nice to have open, vulnerable conversations. You can help other people without knowing that you're helping other people, and vice versa. And it just creates a very safe environment to have discussions that you may not be able to have with people in your own network or community, because you're all there for the common cause, right? There's kind of a beautiful mutual understanding and openness and safetyness for these types of more difficult conversations, but also for really positive conversations. And it's the same thing. Sometimes you might not have the people around you to have those positive conversations about your growth. So I personally really enjoy the group setting, the energy that everyone brings. To me, it's just a really beautiful blend of elements all at the same time. And like, I wouldn't want anyone else taking me through this process. You've actually lived and breathed this process. You see that it works. Super honored to learn your program from you, because you've created this based on something real. I really appreciate that personally.